Hi and welcome to today's video. Just excuse if I sound any different, I am recovering from a cold that I've had all over Christmas. I wanted to say a big welcome to all my new subscribers that I've gained recently, and a huge thank you to all of you that have supported my channel both now and over the previous years. I really do appreciate you all being here and the fact that you take the time out of your day to watch my videos, so thank you very much. So this is a new garden that I started last, I'd say winter, spring 2025. The client is a friend and neighbour to my aunt, which is how I got the job. He saw how I look after my aunt's garden and wanted my help with his. As I hadn't filmed the garden, these are all the before photos of how the garden looked when I started. Later on in the video you'll see how it looked once finished in the summer, and then I've got some before and after photos of the transformation. The reason I hadn't filmed this garden is because I didn't get it done in one hit. It was completed over many visits. The client, when I did start, didn't really like his garden all that much. It was too green for him, and because he's not much of a gardener, he wanted me to basically just dig it all out and start again. Another reason it took many visits to complete is because I wanted to see what plants and flowers he had already in. And as it was the late winter, early spring when I started, I wanted to see what plants would come up so I could determine what plants could be added or dug out. My plan was to have a garden for him where there would be some sort of interest most of the year, whether that be through the flowers, bulbs, so like your spring flowers and things, and plants that will add structure, which also include the foliage that could keep some sort of colour even through the winter months. I kept a lot of the structural plants that he'd already had in, like euonymus and azaleas that were already there, moving them around in the garden and then adding other plants with them. Because the client travelled a lot, he didn't always see the garden after each visit, where I would also bring new plants with me. But when he was home, he would constantly message saying how much he loved how the garden looked. He loved every time he came home. There was always something new and something in flower to see. Safe to say, he's definitely thrilled with how his garden is. He'll enjoy being out in it in the future. And this is basically the result. So I've done the back. I've done the side of the house and I've also done the front, but this is what the back looks like. And I'll just go through what I've added. So in here I've added a persicaria and I've added a lily, and the idea here was the persicaria would sort of gives almost an all year round interest, so you get the flowers, and then I thought with the lilies they would grow through and obviously add a bit of colour, but they're not quite flowering yet, although they look like they're about to. And then I've just sort of in the gaps just put a couple of impatiens. So I might put a few bulbs once they come sort of in the autumn for some spring colour. But yeah, that's this pot. Down here I've not done anything with the climbers, I've just left them as they are, and I've just been sort of keeping an eye on what has flowered and at what times. So I put some new plants along here and then lined them with some bedding plants. Basically what the idea is, where the bedding plants are where the spring bulbs are going to be, but they aren't coming till the end of autumn, so probably October, November time they'll get planted. So just put some begonias in there. They like it quite dry, obviously it's quite sheltered, so there's no water really getting to it unless it's being watered. And then you've got all this border here, got a lovely red lobelia, got some alliums, I think they must look like pink or white, I can't really remember what colour they were. Salvias, heucheras, astilbes, but this one's gone over. Also there's not been much watering done, so things have struggled. I have been trying to get up every week and giving them a water while the client was away. There's a lovely spirea there, and just some little climbers to grow over the edge. What I've also tried to do as well is have interest all year round. So you're going to have obviously summer flowers with the bedding plants like you can see over here, and then in the spring you've got your begonia, they'll flower. And then I've also got the heucheras, so I've got many different colours of heucheras as you can see, and then those couple of pots, so they'll add interest during the winter months when nothing's really flowering. I say I've done some bedding plants with skimmias, they'll add a nice colour in the autumn time, probably through the winter as well, had a bit of interest. And along here I've just sort of done a mixture of bedding and perennials. I've done a couple of hydrangeas, they're only small, but if I just keep them in shape, don't let them get too much bigger, they should be nice. But again, heucheras to add a bit of interest during the winter months. And that's these 2 pots.
And yeah, just like wherever you see all the bedding, that's obviously where I'll put all the spring bulbs once I've got them all ordered. I've got little snowdrops, tates, which are the little yellow narcissus. I've also got English bluebells, red tulips, which are Robin Hood, I think they're called. So basically they all flower at different times of the year, so from like January to basically the time of summer bedding. So that'll add a lot of interest through the winter months and spring. But yeah, so that's this back garden. I'm going to give it a water. I've got the hose pipe out ready, and I'll show you the other side. Okay, so this is the side. So it's just a few pots, but I've added a mixture of bedding plants and perennials. Again, that will give sort of an interest all year round of different things. Now this is the front. So there's not too much done. I've dug a couple of plants out, added all the impatiens, the bedding. There's this white potentilla. Has died. It is green at the bottom, so maybe it might come back, but I'll leave it in anyway just to see. He says he really likes plants with like daisy-like flowers, so that's what I've been looking for. So gallardias, and that was in a pot. Geranium, I think it's a bluey purpley colour, lovely colour, but the pot was it was looking boring in the pot, because obviously once it's finished flowering it's just green. So I've taken it out and shoved it in the border. Got some impatiens. These are where obviously all the bulbs are going to go as well. And then you've also got your, what do you call them? Not feature plants, but so when everything's finished flowering, you've got variegated euonymus, hebe, that has just a splash of colour sort of in the winter months, and the heuchera, lovely shade of, it's like a purple colour that is, it's lovely. And that's a dahlia, it's finished flowering. We'll probably get a few more flower buds on there, and then again just a few bedding. Shoved a fuchsia in there, and then down here I've added a euphorbia in this pot, and there was nothing in there, just something I need to get for there. I'm not quite sure, it might be like a little alpine, but that's going to be, I'll add that next time I come. And this is like a little alpine bowl, they had all died. Just added a load of different alpines and a Biden's, which is, it's not an alpine, it's actually a summer bedding, but it got the daisy-like flowers, so I thought I'd put that in. They're quite hardy, they don't really need much looking after. And by the door I've put two, I think they're ivy leaf geraniums, lovely colour. And then I've just sort of done these two pots here. Summer bedding, so I can always change that out and put winter bedding and whatever. Bidens, this is the herbaceous and or perennial and bedding, so Bidens, hydrangea and angel wing, so that'll give interest all year round.
I try to use different plants for the front garden, the back garden, and the ones at the side of the house, so the client didn't just see the same plants everywhere. There was a bit of variety and something different wherever he was in the gardens. I think that's it. If there are any questions about the garden, just write a comment down below and I'll try and answer them for you. Let me know if you do want me to film this garden in the future so you can see how it is this year. Other than that, take care, and I shall see you for the next one. Bye!